Of today, Monday Newswire. We're on Tuesday. Don't let the date confuse you. Today, we have a great topic to discuss in this recent headline. As it reads from Fortune, NVIDIA CEO would rather torture employees to greatness than fire them. And so today, Alex and I are going to discuss this. We're going to discuss the workplace dynamic at NVIDIA and kind of look at Jensen Huang's workaholic ways and how that really applies to our workplace today. So Alex, welcome in. Glad you're here, man.
What's up? Yeah, great to be here. It's September. Football season's here. We get to talk about all sorts of great things happening at trillion-dollar businesses.
Yeah, multi-trillion.
Yes. Multi-trillion. Holy.
Multi-trillion.
Yeah, I mean, if you read it's all over. I mean, you go to Fortune, Forbes, Yahoo. It's everywhere. Just this. He said it tongue in cheek, but if you dig a little deeper and you read more about the culture and the history of NVIDIA, it's a 7-day a work week. Work till 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning is totally normal. And people are sticking around because for what it seems to be one reason is great pay, but no work-life balance. And obviously the stock options, right? If you kind of read, it's like, okay, well, why are people staying? It's like they're making a crap load of money, basically. And that culture seems to be coming from him because he's a workaholic, apparently.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing where I kind of, the headline doesn't to me describe the true reality. Reading through, and at first when we decided we were going to talk about this, I'm like, oh my goodness, here's another just overzealous, like when Elon came into X and said, unless you're going to be here every single day, work 120 hours a week, you're dead to me, right? And then all of a sudden, that didn't turn out. It didn't work out that way. And, I haven't seen anything lately in regards to what the work environment is at X, but there were reports initially when Elon said that there was a group of, programmers that said, we're out, like, good luck, go find someone else, and it kind of relinquished back. Reading this article and reading about the situation, one thing that I, can appreciate, and you playing, sports growing up in college, you had your myriad of coaches. And one thing that is talked about, and Jensen shares this, is like, it's like a coach. Mm-hmm. I'm calling you to greatness. Mm-hmm. I'm calling you to what you're able to do. That's the environment we have. And if you want to be a part of that, then man, you're going to get absolutely tortured. But you're going to be tortured because, kind of, tongue in cheek, as you mentioned, but I'm going to bring out the best in you rather than just firing you. And I think that's the big caveat here is like, I'm not going to torture you and just leave you on a trash heap. I'm going to incubate you, and I'm not going to fire you. I'm going to help you grow. And he talks about in one article that I read, it's like, I used to be the janitor, and now I'm the CEO of a multi-trillion-dollar business. I believe everyone has the opportunity to grow and advance and improve. And so, that's where I look at almost we can talk about the work environment. All right, is he working that late hours, whatever it may be? Who knows? But it's also, man, here's a guy that believes in people so much that you can accomplish whatever you want.
Right. I like that aspect to it of not wanting to fire people, but bringing out the best in people and coaching them up. And I like that aspect. I like a leader who is willing to put their, time and energy and neck on the line to coach people up, to make them a better player, right? A better employee. Yeah. I like that aspect. And also, to your point of bringing in sports, it's like, there's a lot of sacrifice and hard work to be great, right? We talk about greatness a lot, and what it takes to be, a great athlete of any level or great employee. And it is doing extra work and getting in early and staying late. But we also talk about, when you come into life and you have a family and kids and recitals and ballets, and those that go, you need to work past that and miss that stuff because you want that, $1 billion exit or make all this money. that's kind of where we get into that topic of discussion of like, okay, if you want to be great, we know you got to put in the work, but then I want to be great, but I also want to make my kids' Little League game,
Yeah.
What do I do?
There's, without having without sitting here with Jensen talking with us to understand, it seems to me like the story in the headline is people are looking at ways to tear apart NVIDIA because of how much they've grown, how much their stock has absolutely soared this year. And of course, it's a salacious, it's kind of like, again, going back to Elon says some things, other political candidates say some things and people are like latch a hold of it and like, oh, that's the truth. It's like, no, it was a joke. Like,
Right.
just come on, relax a little bit. And I think there's a bit of this in here because one of the things that I gathered, and this is someone being, from my perspective of one, seeing empathy, understanding empathy as a solution, and knowing that workplaces cannot succeed without empathy. Man, I think Jensen is overwhelmingly supporting his 60 reports with empathy. And, you can't have the commitment and the words that he's saying where it's like, I would rather torture them than fire them. That's an empathetic way that you understand tongue in cheek. That is someone that cares. Because if not, you would be like, you either do it or you're out. And he's not saying that. And he's saying like, I want you to be able to accomplish. Yeah, it's going to require a lot at times, but it's not without. And again, the words that he uses shows that he cares a lot about people and, wants to help people accomplish.
Yeah. I've heard him speak a couple of times in interviews, and he does seem like a genuinely caring, giving person. Like, he doesn't seem to be this overly egotistical, CEO or founder that just drives people into the ground with just work. He does not seem that way. I just, you look at the like if you read that article, the turnover rate's super low there. It's like 2.7% compared to like 17%.
Compared to the industry, it is a third. I think it was actually 5%, but they said in comparison with the industry, it was 17.7.
Wow.
So there's twofold. You can say, oh, the promise of the money. Well, the money only goes so far for so many people. And maybe that's they have, recruited an entire staff of all about the money people. I have a hard time believing that. Done that, then they're way better than any other organization out there existing. And, I would even contend there comes to a certain point, if your turnover number is too low, that also shares that, you're not encouraging people to go and do other things when they should be. So there's a little bit of like, you can't have a 0 number. Like a 5 number, I think is probably extremely healthy. Oh, this isn't the place for me. Or, hey, I now have the opportunity to go start my own. I have my opportunity to go somewhere else. Right. And it doesn't sound like that is it's a, man, I got to get off this ship. That isn't what's going on.
Well, I mean, if you were if you were in NVIDIA and that, I mean, they've grown exponentially in the last 10 years, which is not a long time, like crazy. And if you were hired in that first, second, and probably even third wave there, I mean, would you leave? I mean, you got it made from a financial perspective and you sacrificed, the times and energy. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on where you're at in life, right?
Well, but what it's saying is they aren't. And yet, here's what happens when people aren't leaving. I had this consult yesterday with an organization I'm going to do some work for, and they were talking about there's an individual that's part of the leadership, the ownership group, partnership group, who essentially was transitioned out. And it's a team, organization that's grown, that's going to look to double in size in the next, 3 to 4 months. And it was just kind of like, hey, you no longer fit here. And it was good for both, but it also what had happened, and it took them a year to get to that point, where the guy was like, I'm just mailing it in. Right. And because I don't know where I fit. And you don't hear that in their words, and you don't see that in their performance, that if you think, hey, they're sticking around just for the paycheck and they're miserable, their work quality is going to show accordingly.
Right.
And that's not happening, basis what's going on, because their growth continues to soar. Their quality of product continues to soar. That tells me people are bought into what's going on.
Got it. So the work, I mean, I guess if people are working those many hours and those many days, and the work is of high quality, given based on, how much they've grown over the last several years, is that sustainable? Does that peak out?
That's a great question. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking of, kind of that next step and what gets beyond that. And I'm recalling a podcast that I did, I think it was start of season 2, maybe, of the Impact Driven Leader podcast with Ann Hyatt. So Ann was at Amazon. She then goes to Google. She was chief of staff. She was Jeff Bezos' right-hand man. She was the CEO of, at that point, one of the founders, not Sergey, but one of the others at Google. I forget exactly what his name was. And she worked directly with them. And she talked about in the beginning, man, they were 120 hours a week. They were just on fire because they were doing something so amazing, so like invigorating. You just wanted to be a part of it.
Right.
And, then it gets to the point where it's like, all right, as you grow on that growth, trajectory, do all the, let me do this so you can see the camera. Does that all of a sudden plateau? And that's normal in every business. And how do you handle the plateau? NVIDIA at some point here, whether it's going to be changing the economy, whether it's going to be a new competitor, whatever it may be, there's going to be a plateau. That's the point for us to watch. When all of a sudden, instead of this exponential, exciting growth, man, we are changing the world. We are making a true impact. Right? The things that really matters to people, not the money, the impact. We're changing things. We see the gaming, we see all the place. When that plateaus, because that's a normal evolution, what happens through that next renaissance? What happens then? Do all of a sudden, is that when the wheels fall off the bus?
Right.
And that's something to watch. And I think what's interesting, if you look at the stock price of NVIDIA, and how it's gone, it's been the darling. It's driving the S&P 500. It had some rough days a couple weeks ago when this, article came out last week. But then now it's back on the rise.
Right.
Because, again, the fundamentals there of the organization is still really, really sound.
And for those that don't know, NVIDIA is like the largest chip maker in the world. Basically, all the computer chips that go into any sort of technology, and they're on the bleeding edge of it. AI chips, quantum, fast, super hyper fast processing. They're the leaders in that space. And if you ask yourself, like, is tomorrow going to be more technologically advanced than yesterday? I always go, yes, it is. So they're probably going to be the leaders in that space for a long time. But yeah, I think you're right. I mean,
well, I think that's a gross assumption. I don't think they're going to be the leader. Somebody will compete against them. And somebody's going to start taking market share because they have the market cornered, right? You can't do that forever, right? No company has done that forever. It's when they have to reinvent, when they have a competitor, when they lose out to someone else, what happens then? That's the place to watch here.
Or if their leadership, if you look at Jensen, right, the leader, what if he steps down? What if he says, hey, guys, I want to retire. I'm going to take my billions and billions and I want to go enjoy life. Because if you read that article too, they talk about, having acquired the wealth and not being able to do anything.
Yeah.
Just like, I work all the time. I think about work all the time. I don't enjoy the world and life.
Yeah.
What if he steps down?
I mean,
I want to go enjoy.
Here's one of the knocks against the company is he has been one of the largest sellers of NVIDIA stock in the last 3 to 6 months. And that's been noted, like, what's really going on here? Like, what's this telling? Again, it's what is that telling? What is he telling people? Is he like, hey, I'm trying to, capture this before I know we get to that plateau, because it's going to happen, because, you so often you can see, all right, you hit a $3 trillion market valuation, the market tanks, and all of a sudden now you're at 1.5. You just lost a lot of market cap. just because you sat on your hand. Yeah, but it's possible.
I know, but it's like
absolutely
that
possible.
number is like 999 billion.
It's just an extra comma in zeros. That's all it is. It doesn't matter if it's a 1 million, a billion, or a trillion. It's just another set of zeros and a comma. And at that point, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
And that's where you kind of like the business play on it. It's like, okay, no different right now. Real estate values for many, many places in the country at the highest they've been. Right. And we maybe had a little bit of peak out of whatever it may be. But if depending on what happens with the election coming up November, depending on what happens with the market, we very much could be looking at the highest priced real estate that we're going to see in the next handful of years. That happened to us personally back in 2005. Yeah. I got married in 2005, bought a house in California for the first time, bought a house. It was $294,000. The end of that year, it was valued on Zillow, take it, leave it, whatever. It is what it is, at $410,000. So I gained $120,000 in equity in a house that, I owned for 9 months.
Right.
And then the market collapsed.
Right.
And in 2011 or 12, I think 2011, it was worth 140. So, it dropped half of its value that I paid for it. And, it was 4 times under what it was at its peak.
And I think that's something similar with NVIDIA, right? It could happen. And maybe he's, as the leadership is going, hey, listen, maybe the peak is here or it happened. Or it's going to happen. I want to kind of start exiting my position and looking forward to the future. I mean, I guess, that's one way you could look at what might be happening with.
Here's the other piece of that is I'm just thinking of the sell-off. If maybe you're familiar, you're listening, you understand this, but a lot of times what happens in that, stock sell-off is you can get the market cornered and you start to have a private equity group that owns a considerable portion and they can start to dictate everything the organization does. And, again, you think about this is a game for him in essence. There's a game element to this of what we're doing, running the organization, how we're running it, what I believe in. Do I sell options so I bring people in to be evangelists of this? Or am I looking, hey, how do I bring people in that are going to help us propel us through that next phase?
It's interesting.
It's potential.
I've heard Jensen Huang do an interview and being asked, like, if you were to start did you hear this interview with him where he's like, if you were to start a business today, how would you do it? And he was just like, I wouldn't start a company ever again.
Well, I mean, and
I thought that was such that's
interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like
authentic.
Yeah. It's like, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't start my own business. There's just so many risks. There's just the potential of failure is extremely high. All the different reasons he went off of why he would not start a business. And he knows that this is a unicorn. Like the fact that he's here and this is what's happened is 1 in a million, 1 in a billion, 1 in a trillion, just another comment.
Yeah. Just, well, I mean, but that lends to, if he's having that commentary, that lends to him being in the position he's in. It's like, there's people that I've heard this in network marketing years ago. It's like, well, you just got to ride the wave. It's like, okay, there's an element of that. And I understand the cycles, and maybe he's just understanding. It's like, hey, I better ride this as much as I can to the valuation and then understand at some point the ride's going to end. And do I want to, it takes a very, either blind owner or a very, bought in owner to make a major difference to say, I'm going to ride this to its, wherever we're going to go. Steve Jobs, if he were still alive today, you would wonder, all right, what would his position be on Apple? Would he want to continue to reinvent that company every day? Amazon has the business model. Treat every day like your second day in the business, second day being there.
Right. Because
you have this experience of the first, but then you have this, almost eyes wide open of like, oh, this is really what it's like.
Right.
And it doesn't sound like Jensen has that mentality. It's kind of like, I understand what we're accomplishing. I understand what we're doing. I am going to strive for excellence because I know at some point my playing career is going to end.
Yeah. And it feels like it's not over yet. I mean, we can speculate on that, but it feels like he's going to continue to demand excellence from his employees. He's going to continue to coach them, which I think is a great value from a CEO, a founder of a business. But to your point, and we spoke about this before, there's a generational difference of, hey, I'll work and I believe in the mission and I believe in this, but I want to go travel and enjoy life. I mean, will they run into that issue, or I guess if that's the culture there, it's the culture, and that's kind of what you expect.
Well, and I think that's the wonder, is how much of this culture that we don't know is like, hey, yeah, continue to push this because there's an end game. There is an end here for us. It's not just going to be this perpetuality. And again, as a Gen X, as Jensen 61, so he's, part of that Gen X community. It's like, all right, are we going to ride this the best we can instead of choosing a different generational path? Whereas I will enjoy life as it is, I'm going through it, as opposed to trying to get to the point where I have so much I can do whatever. You have two dramatically different mindsets.
I don't know if you want to shift focus into this other article, but maybe it's the right time. But I was just looking up if Jensen Huang supported. We have a debate tonight. So Donald Trump.
Oh, there is.
Kamala.
I was not aware.
You were not aware. I didn't know if you knew this. So there's a debate.
Really? Who's debating? Do we know?
Mr. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris.
They are they?
Yes. And I was looking up Jensen Huang supported a candidate, and right now there is not any information about it. Probably he hasn't said one or the other, but there's been a lot of people who've given sides.
I mean, here's my speculation.
Okay,
here is my vast speculation, and this is just based upon what he's done in the positions that he's sold. Maybe he's looking at it to say, if I don't take all of the gains that I possibly can right now, it's going to change a lot next year, or in 2 years, or in 3 years.
So he's hedging. He's hedging.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. It's like if I'm looking and I have a $3 trillion organization. That's a lot of zeros and commas, and it's like, all right, if the prospectus of the capital gains turns out like it is, all of a sudden I'm giving how many zeros and commas to our U.S. government? Well, I'm going to play under the rules that are at play right now. I'm going to take that safe harbor it somewhere and not have to give so many commas and zeros to the U.S. government.
I mean,
I'm not guessing of a backing of a candidate, but I'm just wondering and speculating. There's a lot of business owners, investors that are absolutely looking at that today.
I think that's probably what's happening, given what Kamala has proposed, in terms of the new tax ideas and plans where, you want to tax, what was it? It was both unrealized and realized gains, capital gains, which is but it's only affects if you're only affects you if you're worth over 100 million, which he would definitely lie in that category.
He would be in that boat. But those are also the people that have the greatest ability to employ a lot of those tactics.
And also,
and so, people, going back to Trump when he was, in 2016, they're like, well, we want to see your tax returns. We want to see your tax returns. And then they finally see him. It's like, well, you didn't pay any taxes because I know how to play the game. Like, duh.
Right. I want to get to this article, Tyler, that you sent me. That it read this. 40,
How about we do this? How
Yeah,
about we
go,
do
go.
this for everyone? Let's put a wrap on this one. Let's put this in the can. Hey,
You wanna
thanks
can
for
it?
being with us. Thanks for being here. Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for being here. Thanks for watching this. I'm excited to watch this play out in the future and to see what happens with NVIDIA. I really am excited. And let's revisit this maybe in a few months, maybe after the new year, see what happens. We can refer back to this time. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so that way you're notified when any of these new videos come out. Let me just tell you, there's something coming out real soon right after this. So thanks for being here. Alex, thanks for joining in, and we will catch you next time.